the Basas, and the City of Manila, that the procedures were not followed. In short, there was an irregularity. Now, can you please edify me? In what part of the articles of impeachment will that be relevant? Can anyone answer that? Public prosecutors.
The prosecution, can you answer the question of the gentleman from Makati and Bicol?
Your Honor, may we ask
Yes.
may we ask Senator Roy to repeat the question, please?
Oh, I forgot the question. Let me put it this way, no? To put it simply, let us assume that the transaction between the City of Manila, headed by Mayor Atienza, and the Basas or the Basa Corporation or whatever, had been attended with irregularities. That there was something wrong, and we can attribute some fault or whatever. Now, can you educate me at least so that I'll be enlightened when I make a decision on the impeachment? Where do you connect it with Article 2, Article 3, Article 7? Where? How do you connect that?
Your Honor, this would be in relation on the part of the prosecution on Article 2, Sal N.
Namely, can you...
Namely, now the defense is introducing this as evidence. The 34.7 million check paid for Cristina Corona in trust for Basa Guidote Enterprises, Inc. And the theory of the prosecution is that it was misappropriated by Cristina Corona, deposited in her personal account. And therefore, and if we follow the line of reasoning by the defense, it ended up in the account of the Chief Justice. Therefore, it should have been included and declared in the SALN. So it would fall under Article 2.
All right, fine. If that is your theory, because I don't think the defense admits, or rather contests the proposition, that 35, how much was that, 35?
34.7
All right,
million.
34.7 million, which was money in trust held by Mrs. Corona, was deposited in the account of Chief Justice Corona. Those are more or less established facts. All right.
Yes.
Now, what I want to be clarified is this. Assuming that, how do you connect that? What is the connection with the accusation in Article 2? You are not charging the ill-gotten wealth. You are not charging other elements. Now, we're talking here in Article 2 of Sal N. In other words, we're talking whether Corona, the Chief Justice, made an honest revelation of his assets and liabilities. So, with the interpellation of Mayor Atienza, what do we gather? Assuming all of that, how does that strengthen the position of the prosecution?
We were just testing the credibility, the credence of the testimony. But going back to that point...
No, wait, let's stop there, Neil. Okay. In other words, it has nothing to do with the substance of Article 2. It is testing the credibility of the witness.
No, Your Honor. It has something to do with the substance of Article 2 because, namely because the position of the prosecution is that all assets should be declared.
Yes. Okay.
And,
Agreed.
and the 34 million,
Yes.
34.7 million was deposited, misappropriated and deposited in the personal account of Maria Cristina Corona
Misappropriated by whom?
by Mrs. Corona.
All right, Mrs. Corona misappropriated. But does it appear in the SALN?
That's the reason why. That's the reason we're disputing it, Your Honor, because the theory of the prosecution is that all of this should have been declared in the SALN.
Because
And it has never been declared.
the way I see it, if it was entered in the SALN, then irregular, stolen, or whatever, that is not at issue. What is at issue is whether he entered the amount in the SALN. That's the question. I mean, I'm not questioning anything. I want to be educated because we are about to arrive at a moment of truth. We will recess and we can think about it. I want to simplify the issues, at least as far as I'm concerned.
With respect to that, probably we can submit a memorandum for
No. It's very difficult to submit a memorandum because all I want to know is that we spent 3 hours here on the conducting the direct and cross-examination of Mayor Atienza now about the irregularities. But what is undisputed is that 34.7 million was paid by the City of Manila. The 34.7 was paid to Mrs. Corona as supposedly attorney in fact or whatever. Then that money was deposited in the account of Chief Justice Corona. Justice Cuevas, do you confirm that is how it happened?
This money, Your Honor, does not belong to even Mrs. Corona herself because as the check will show, this is for Basa Guidote, Your Honor, and received by Mrs. Corona only in trust, Your Honor. So if it is received by her in trust, there is nothing that she can transfer to her husband, Your Honor.
No, I'm not talking about transfer to the husband.
Yes.
But I am only asking, was it deposited in the account of Chief Justice Corona?
There is no evidence to that effect, Mr. Your Honor, please.
All right, if there's no evidence to that effect, they deny it, that it was deposited. So, again, I go back to the relevance of that money. The money, City of Manila paid Mrs. Corona. Where that went, that is what I am asking the prosecution. What is your theory? Meaning, the disposition now of the 34.7 million. What's the theory of the prosecution?
I think, Your Honor, that should be the duty, the job, the burden should be on the defense to prove that. But as far as we are concerned now,
Yes.
as far as we are concerned, based on the testimony so far, the witnesses presented, the money was deposited in the personal account of Mrs. Corona in Malacanang, that's Land Bank. And to us, she treated it as her own money. Therefore, it has relation with the SALN because it's an asset.
Mrs. Corona deposited that 34.7 million in her own account.
Yes.
All right. But Ms. Corona is not being charged here. It's Chief Justice Corona. Well, here is Mrs. Corona, who receives 34.7 million, which perhaps it's not hers, perhaps it's hers, perhaps it's whatever, then deposited in her account. Now, what's the position now of the prosecution?
The position of the prosecution is that it should have been...
You mean that particular money, 34.7 million?
Now, so far, what we see is that it was deposited in a personal account. That's what we see so far. And to us, it has relevance, materiality on Article 2 of the impeachment complaint, which is Sal N. Because even if the Chief Justice...
I get it. It's the Sal and Chief Justice Corono that is at issue. I even thought, I was going along with the idea that it was deposited in the account it was deposited in the account of Chief Justice Corono. That is why it was listed in the SALEB. But it turns out that we are not clear on just what we are discussing about on that 34.7.
The position, Your Honor, is that even the personal property of the wife should be included in the SALN. And that is the position of the prosecution.
I see.
But as of now, the defense, probably most of the questions should be addressed to the defense.
No, I won't dispute
because they are the ones presenting their defense and not us.
I'm not, believe me, I am not, and I will not contest the position at this point of the prosecution. I respect whatever position you have. But I just want it clear. Otherwise, we will be going round and round. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you also to Senator Joker Arroyo. Your Honor.
Mr. President,
The Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, may we ask that the witness, the Honorable former Mayor Atienza, be discharged? Temporarily.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well,
Until the next hearing, Your
the
Honor.
distinguished former Mayor of Manila is discharged momentarily, and we shall the court will notify him when we resume the trial of this
May 7, Your Honor.
case in the afternoon of May 7,
Thank you.
2012.
Salamat
Another witness?
Mr. President, Senator Lacson wishes to be recognized.
The gentleman from Cavite.
Question to the witness ba?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have some questions, a few questions to the prosecution. If it is your assertion that Mrs. Corona misappropriated, you used the term misappropriated, the amount of 34.7 million. Now, are you admitting that she should not have included, or CJ Corona, the Chief Justice,